In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a social media operating system that you can control directly from Telegram. And this means that you can give it instructions of what you want to create. You can give it the specific networks that you want to create content for, and you can also create images from it. So that is what we're going to be building in this video. It's probably going to be a video on the longer side, so let's dive right in. So over here, what I have is just an empty n8n workflow. I have my Telegram open with the bot fodder here. So we're going to set a new channel for this. And that's pretty much it. We're going to be building this step by step. So the first thing I'm going to do is just type in a new bot. I'm going to give it a name. So let's call this the YouTube social media. And we need to give it a username. So let's say _bot. Cool. So I got the information here. We have the access token right there, which we will need in a second. And in order to get started with it, we can just hit start right here. In n8n, all I'm going to do is just have a webhook. Actually, let's have a Telegram node. And for the trigger will be on, let's see, on message here. We're going to add a new connection, paste in that access token, hit save, and that should get us up and running, which it is. So now, if we're to execute workflow and type something in there, we should get that right here. So now we get test. So here, let's turn this on as well, so we can see whether this will work in production. Let's type in test2, and that should send us a message right here, which should have test2. Great. So now let's copy to editor, that is pinned, and now we can keep going. What I want to do as I'm building this is also be able to dictate stuff into it. So if it's a voice message, that is fine. That's great. We'll be able to also extract that information. So here, let's put in the text, so which will be the text, and this will be in case it's just a written message. Let's put it that way. So that whether it's a text message or a voice message, we'll be able to have two routes that we can go down, and then we'll get the written message right here. In the case it's a text message, sorry, it's a voice message. Let's see what that will look like by sending a voice message right here. So we send this, we go to executions, and here we should have gotten an audio. Great. So in this case, if I copy to editor, I can now have actually instead of a if, let's use a switch. So we'll be able to give these a name. So let's say one is audio, and that is in the case of, let's see here, that should be this, copy, unpin, and here we should have gotten, yep, that one, the audio type. So I'm going to say if this exists, then we know it's an audio. Alternatively, let's set a fallback output. It would be the text output. So let's actually remove this. Yeah, thinking about it, we could have probably just gone with an if, but all good. So this is audio, and we also have the written version. So if it's audio, what I want to do is essentially download whatever is sent here, which is this, I guess, file ID or file unique ID. So let's see if I go to Telegram. Is there a download? Attachment. Let's see. Get a file. Send an audio file. Let's see if I search for audio. Nope. Get a file maybe. Let's see. File ID. So let's run this. Could be file ID. Let's get that. See what that will look. Great. So now we can also transcribe it. So if I go to OpenAI and I choose transcribe a recording, I should just be able to feed that data in. So this should give me, see what that will look like by sending a voice message. Great. So now the actual text will be json.message.text here. And here we have, okay, let's actually clear this. So it's a standard sort of thing. So here I'm going to use set. I'm going to say, this is the text. So we can use text, that's fine. And here, let's just call this text, which is great as well. And now this will not be json.message, but it will be the actual message. So let's just switch to telegram.item.json. So now, irrespective of whether we send a text message or a voice message, we should be able to get the same thing coming through. This is an example voice message. So let's see that. And then I'll send a text as an example. So this should be transcribing the audio now. Great. And if I now send text, I should get a text and the bottom route right here. Awesome. So that's working as expected. So now I can continue. Let's call this written message as well. It's safe. Now, the next thing is that I want to feed this message from here or here to our AI agent. So here I'm going to go to AI agent. I'm going to give this a brain. Let's go with 4.1. And essentially, this will be the orchestrator that will decide whether or what route we will go down. So here I'm going to go to Claude and I'm going to get some help with a prompt. So essentially, there's a few things I want this to do. So here I'm going to say, I need your help creating a LLM system prompt that will be given to an orchestrator agent, and it will decide based on the input whether to create an image, edit a previous image, generate social media content. If it's one, send or use the tool called create an image. If it's two, then use the tool edit previous image. If it's three, then use the tool generate social media content. If it doesn't fall within any of these, output a message saying, can you please clarify what you'd like to do? Yeah, let's run that. In the meantime, let's create the generate, edit, and create. So here we'll need to have actually, yeah, that makes sense. So we'll have a workflow for creating, a workflow for editing, which are pretty similar, and then a workflow for social media. So if it's social media, it will be another agent because that will be responsible for a bunch of agents underneath it. If it's, yeah, creating image and editing image, creating and editing images, then we'll need to run, let's say, a separate workflow. So here I'm going to create a workflow. Let's call this create images, and let's just call this right here. So call a workflow. Let's choose create images. And over here, we just need to say when executed by another workflow. In the meantime, let's grab this prompt right here. Let's go here. Let's paste the whole thing in here. And for the input message, I'm going to use the message right here. This or this essentially. So this will be the text right there. So in this case, it should say, I don't know what you were saying, I guess. Can you please clarify what you'd like to do? Great. And that will be a Telegram message. Send a message back to the user. So if we go to this right here, we should have a chat ID. So just send that there. And the text will be, what are you saying, essentially. So here, if we execute, we should get, yep, a message. Can you clarify what you'd like to do? You can remove the annotation or attribution there. So that will remove that as well. Nice. So now let's say that we get a message about creating images. And yeah, we'll have create images. We'll have another one, which we called, let's see what we called it. Edit previous images. And then we'll have generate social media content. So this is generate social media content. This is edit previous images. And we'll need to create another workflow right here based on that. But let's do one thing at a time. So let's do the creating images. So let's just, for example, say, create me an image of a dog in a park. Okay, can you please clarify what you'd like to do? It's not what I expected. So let's see here. Okay, I think it tried to run it, but didn't get anything right there. So that's fine. So here, I think we got, or we should have gotten something, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, no, we wouldn't have gotten anything, because here we need to go here and let's say call this tool to create a new image. Specify what you'd like to create. Let's try that. And here, let's just add a field called prompt so that it will be a bit more clear. And if we go here now, we can, or we should be able to refresh here in a second. Actually prompt, we can say defined by the model. So now, let's try this again. Create me an image of a dog in a park. Let's send this. We'll probably still get the, okay, nice. Okay, so that triggered this right here. Obviously, it didn't create the image, but that's a step in the right direction. Now here, what I'm going to do is I will want to call replicate in order to generate the image. So I'm going to sign in here, sign in. And for this one, let's just generate an image with FluxDev. That's fine. I'm going to go to HTTP. I'm going to copy this. And I also need to copy the bearer token for authorization. So let me just do that. Count settings. Let's import the curl here. And if I go to API tokens, we should have a token we can just grab there. Grab there, just paste that in there. This is replicate. And now we're to just update the prompt based on what the user would have given us, we can just paste that in there. Hit execute, and let's see what we get right here. So here we got the image. Great. Which also means that now we can send that URL output to the Telegram as a response. So here, send a text message. Can we also send a file? Yeah, I think we can. File ID. Okay, so here, I don't know if we can send append, disable, send the text. I don't know if we just send the direct URL, if that will work in Telegram. Let's test it out. So here I need to pass along the chat ID. Great. So we just say, go back here, say, create me an image of a dog in a park. This should run. It should call the sub workflow, which is create images. Yeah, no, I didn't send that. So let's look here. Let's see what we got. Okay, did call that, and then we got that. But if I look at what actually happened here, so let's go here. Could we send a message? No, here we can only get stuff. Okay, so maybe we'll need to update this first. Let's see here. Create an image. Okay. When the user wants to do that, okay, examples, create an image. When you run this tool, it will return a URL of the new image generated. Send this back to the user. Let's try this. Also need to remove that attribution since we reverted that from before. So turn it off, hit save, hit enter. That's what we get. Okay, here's the image of a dog in a park. Okay, not exactly, but step in the right direction. Let's go back here. Let's go back here, see what happened. Copy to editor, unpin, dog in a park. Okay. So I did that. Interesting. Change it to output. Okay, it was a dog in a park, but for some reason we still got the Gato image. Okay, for input it's taking this right here, which is very interesting. Okay, let's run this once more. Dog in a park is pinned. Let's see what happened over here. Input. Yeah, we're getting that same thing. I mean, over here, what I'd like to see, is what was sent to the sub agent. Let's see. Let's actually try again. Also, there's the issue of sending a photo. Send a text message. Let's see what there is. Telegram, photo, send a photo message. I would say that's the one. Send photo. Cool. So here, can send a binary file. Okay. I'm curious if we can get this guy to choose. When you run this tool, it will return a URL of the image generated. Send this back to the user. What about here? Telegram tool, operation, send message or send photo. I think is the one we want. Let's do that. And we also want a send a message. Let's copy the chat ID and that will be the message there. So here, chat ID, that's fine. And that's there. And the photo, let's let the agent decide that. So here, let's call this Telegram photo. And then let's also have a Telegram message. Let's remove these. Let's put these here. And let's update this slightly. When you run this tool to return the URL, send this back to the user using the Telegram photo. Okay. Also, let's add that if you want, when sending the user a normal message, use the, what did we call it? Telegram message tool. Cool. Try it. Create an image of a dog in a park. Enter. All right. Sweet. Let's try create me an image of a man on a laptop. All right. Perfect. So that's the first part. Now, what we want to do probably is, if we want to edit images, we want to save them, right? Because we don't want to keep just the URL. So we'll need to do that in a second. But for now, let's get to the creation of the social media content. And here, essentially what we'll want to do is we're going to create content for X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And each of these will be connected to this guy right here. So here, as a tool, I'm going to add an agent. And I'm going to call this let's call this X guy. And here I have some prompts I have already prepared for this. And here I'm just going to insert these system messages right here, which are platform specific, sort of what I wanted to do. I'm going to say this is defined automatically. So this is AI agent that creates content for X, Twitter. And then I'll have something similar for, what did we say, LinkedIn? Let's see the other prompts. LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. So for LinkedIn or for Instagram, I have a prompt here. I'll just copy paste. I have another one for LinkedIn. And let's also do the YouTube one. If I have a look at this, let's see what it says. You are a YouTube content agent that transforms video transcripts into compelling summaries. You receive a YouTube transcript. Okay, let's actually remove this for now and just focus on X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Let's use tools. We need to give this a chat model. So let's use the same right here. This also needs a model. And here, what we want to say is essentially, you will need to decide which social media to call. So here I have something, create captions for Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. Let this be defined by the model. And let's see, in terms of tools, what we want to do is potentially give this access to the internet. So here I'm just going to add Tevely, and I'm going to, this is already connected here. So here for the query, I'll let this be defined by the agent so that if this guy wants to do some research, they can do so. So we can connect that as such. So this is going to be defined and then it can also query the internet. So then it should go back up here and then use the send message to the user. So let's say, as a quick test, we say, create me a LinkedIn post about working hard. That's what happens, just as a quick test. Okay, there we got something, but here we didn't. So let's see why. So this seems to have hit LinkedIn, great. It seems to have gone back up here, but we didn't get anything back sent to Telegram. So here, let's see, generate social media content. So here what I want to say is, when you run this tool to return, so use the message. So let's be a bit more specific right here. Try again, undefined. Okay, I mean, we're getting something, I guess. It's not what we're after, but it is using the tool to send the message. But let's see here, unpin. So this seems to have hit LinkedIn, which is fine. Hard work, okay, great. And then here's a LinkedIn post, okay. This sending the message there. Okay, we're just not getting the text. So let's try again. We just selected, let the agent essentially define what message to send, and that might fix it. Here we also should probably remove that attribution. Awesome. So here we got nice LinkedIn post about that. Cool, cool. So let's remove the attribution here. So that's the stuff about creating stuff for social media. So here I'm going to say what I actually want to do is just give this some memory. So if I want to keep building on top of that, I actually can. So let's say that for the memory, let's increase this to 20. For this, let's define a key. Just put in as 1, 2, 3. And let's now run this again. So create me a post about working hard for Instagram. So this should be, I guess, slightly shorter than this. And then what I'll try, just to test whether this memory is working as expected, is just change that to great. Great, now create me a post for X on the same topic. So here I'm expecting that the memory is actually working and it will create a post about working hard, but for Twitter, for X. Let's see. What we should also probably do, let's see here. So it did hit X, but then it didn't do anything there. So let's have a look at the orchestrator. So I did create it for X, it just didn't hit the Telegram message, I guess. So here, change social media content. Interesting. If routing to a tool, call the appropriate. If unclear, okay, let's grab this. This is great, but but I made a change to my workflow. Let's do this. And I gave my agent 2 additional tools. Can you ensure that the final stage is always to use one of these tools? The image one is used when it's about creating or editing images. The text one is every other situation. So let's see if that will resolve this. I'll use exactly 2 tools, one primary and one Telegram tool. Or just Telegram message for clarification. Yeah, I like that actually. So let's go back here. Let's update the orchestrator. Paste. Save Telegram. Let's do that. Execution. Interesting how it used 2 messages to do that. Very interesting. Can you now create an image for this? Nice. I mean, yeah, the text is very, very off, but yeah. So what I want to do here is save these images to Airtable so that I can then reference them when it comes to editing as well. Or just save them if I want to upload to social. So what I'm doing off screen is I'm creating a new Airtable database. Let's call this the YouTube Social Media OS. And just thinking about this, all I will need is attachments. Let's keep that there. Let's close this. Let's remove that. Let's delete this. Let's also have a prompt right here, which is a long text. And this I'll change to a record ID, which is a formula. And let's do that. So now in the create images, what I want to do here is just add Airtable. I'm going to create a record in the Airtable that I just created, which is this right here. The list will be table 1. And here, the prompt will be whatever we got from the when executed at the beginning. For attachments, I'll just use the output rider. And the way this works in n8n and Airtable is that we'll need to have an expression, since this is an attachment. So let's do that. I believe it's an array, then we'll have a URL and then the actual URL. So I'll just paste this in there. So now I just need to modify this right here. So now instead of JSON.output, this will be the replicate.item.json.output, since we inserted that new thing there. So let's try this again. Let's say create another image on the same topic. Let's see. Nice. Awesome. So this is working as expected right there. Powerful visual representation of hard work. Great. What we might also want to do is the following. So when it comes to editing images, so here we might want to, let's think, give it a name. So let's say this is a single line text, name. This is hard work image. We don't want to have the same images, I guess, the same image twice. Let's call this hard work. So here, when we create the record, we also need to generate a quick image name for that. So let's message a model and let's say, create me a 4 to 5 word image name for this. Let's use the prompt. Let's also say, please use today's date as the first part of the image. Today's date is, I'm going to use the now variable. So this should then ensure that the image name is correct, is unique, I guess. So this will be the system message. We add a user message, which is the prompt. And if we hit execute, just test this out, I expected a string got null. Let's say here. Okay, so this didn't get anything. Yep, so we didn't get anything there. Makes sense. So for this, let's just pin some data and let's just say dog in a park, happily jumping up and down. So if we save this, so it's now pinned, let's pin this and we execute this. Let's try this again. Okay, so now we got 2025-10-1, happy dog leap, awesome. So now when we create a record, the attachment will not be JSON, it will be replicate.item.json, and then we will also have the name that will be this content right here. So now we'll get a new record with the name right there. Yeah, that's probably because we had pinned the data from before, I think, and it was null before. So if we test this end to end so far through Telegram, which is, where's Telegram? Here. Create me a motivational image. We should get an image edit here with the right name. Okay, name isn't working. We got this, so that's great. The only issue is that that name didn't save in our table, right? So something. Okay, I didn't save it. I didn't save the workflow myself. So yeah, create me another one. Believe yourself. Okay, we got the name, we got the prompt, and we got the image right there. Awesome. So now we need to essentially edit, right? That's another key feature. So for this one, we'll need to, let's tidy this up. Let's create another workflow here. And what this will be able to do, or the way I see this working, is this guy can decide whether to call that's a bit all over the place. Let's just leave it as is. So if we call the edit previous image, let's just say that this guy will have the ability to use Airtable to search in our Airtable called YouTube Social Media OS to get the names of the images that we have saved. Let's go here, choose table 1. Let's return all. Yeah, that's fine. No formula. So for the editing prompt, let's say here, tool 2. For this one, let's add some instructions so that the user can query the agent about which image names are available for editing. If the user asks this question, then the agent needs to use let's see what we called it, Airtable image name tool in order to pull a list of available images. Let's make that change. Tool to A. Okay, copy this, go back in here, and let's just paste that in there. So now, if we just say, let's say here, let's call this 2025 10-1 motivational sunrise. So let's go here and say what images are available for editing. That's what we get, if we get anything. All right, sweet. Never give up, hard work. All right, sweet. Let me know which image you'd like to edit or if you need more details. Perfect. I mean, we don't need more details because we don't have more details, I guess, but a sunrise over mountains, bright ray. Okay, cool. So let's say that we're going to create a new workflow here, as we said. Let's call this the edit images, which I'm not sure we've connected here. No, still create images. Let's call this edit images, grab the name there. And for this one, we'll need to run it when executed by another workflow. We'll need to have new prompt and we'll need to have old image URL. Essentially, those are the two fields we'll need here. So if we go back to our guy here and choose edit images, we should have these two right here. Cool. And if we look here, the edit images, edit the last image, change the color, make the person taller, move the background. Okay. I mean, let's see what gets triggered here. So if I just say edit the image called hard work, and instead of an athlete, let's use a baby. This obviously will not work here, but I'm just curious whether this will get called correctly. So here something happened. Nice, replace the athlete. Yeah, old image URL. We'll need to pull that from, yeah, didn't really work. Oh, it did actually. I'm curious. I think it used the create an image though. Executions. I think it just returned the same image, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, which is this guy here. Okay, cool. So let's build out this right here. So here we'll get essentially these two things, new prompt and old image, which is perfect. Copy this. For this, I'll go back to replicate. I'm going to use nano banana. Let's do that, because this will allow us to insert an input image. I just need one. I just need a prompt. I'll copy this, copy that, go back here. And the flow is going to be, I guess, somewhat similar to this. So technically I could just copy these, go back here. Just need to replace the curl right here with what we have here. I need to put in my API token so that I can also regrab from here. And what I'll need here is to wire this up and just change a few things. So the prompt and the value, which is the initial image. And then technically this will create a new, let me actually run this. Execute on pin and test, invalid image. Okay. Is this an invalid image? No, that's a valid image. So here, expected string given object. Could it be that, I mean, no, this should be fine. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Input image invalid, expected string, but given an object. I think it might be this right here. Because since we have just one thing, I remember I ran into this when I was doing like a nano banana video. Let's see, nano image generator, image editor. Let's see how the call. Yeah, I think it should just be like that. Copy this, let's go back here. Input prompt, yeah. So here we just know we don't need value. We just need the square brackets. And then I think that's what we're saying here. Let's see this. Execute. And this should give us, yeah, a new image. So here output, nice. So the editing is working as expected, which also means that here we can change this to new prompt. That's fine. The user message. Do we need user message? I think it's the same thing as we had before, no? Yeah, today's date is that. So yeah, sunrise baby, good. Perseverance, that's great. We can create a new image, a record right here. So if we refresh this, we should get another image. Okay, the prompt and the attachment is what we need to change here. So prompt will be whatever we had here, new prompt. And then the attachment should be replicate, image output 0. So why did that not? Let's see here, delete. It might be slightly different. Yeah, I think it is. So that should have added the new baby image. That's great. And now for the edit field, we just need to output what we inserted into Airtable, which is this replicate. Let's see, output right here. So now this is what should be sent back to Telegram. So here if I say create me an edited version of this image, but instead of an athlete, put a dog. I don't know. Just for the sake of testing. I couldn't. Okay, let's see why. Okay, so it couldn't access that. So let's see why. Okay, this needs to be set by the model. So let's try again. Okay, still not working. Go to executions. Same issue, I think. Your request is invalid. Input image does not match format URI. Okay, let's see. Got an error here. Replicate doesn't like something. Let's see. Go to executions. Go to debug. Huh. Old image URL is hard work. That's not right. Old image URL is hard work. So here, let's set a description. This needs to be the Airtable URL the user wants to modify. So here, let's also go here and update the prompt. So let's see here. Call this tool, edit previous image. Okay. When you call this tool, you need to pass two things. The new prompt, the Airtable URL the user wants to modify. So let me hit save and I'll continue this video in a second because I need to jump onto something. All right, and we're back. So here, I believe before we had an issue with this because it was not sending the old image URL. So let's see what happens now after we added that description. We didn't get the error yet, so I think that's a good sign. Let's see. Okay, still executing. This should also be executing, I guess. 1508. With an error there. All right, sweet. So that's working as expected. Great. And then we should, nice. We also get the image of the dog right there. That's great. Fantastic. So now what I want to do is just connect. I mean, this is working as expected all in all as a whole complete system. So we have the ability to send a voice message, send a written message, create images, generate edits to those images, save them to Airtable, then create posts for the different platforms as well. And yeah, this is working as expected. So if I say, create me a LinkedIn, let's say X post about the above image. There's an X post about motivation and an image of a dog running on a track. Okay. Yeah, I like how it's sending two messages here. Chasing your dreams is a marathon to sprint. A determined dog running at sunrise. Sweet. So that's working as expected. What I want to do here in Airtable is finally combine this with Blotato. So here I want to add a button, which I'm going to call, I'm thinking about it, maybe I will have 3 buttons. So it would be post to X. Yeah, let's do 3 buttons. Post to X. Yeah, we need to add that there. Let's duplicate this. Let's say post to LinkedIn. And then let's also say post to whatever we had, which was it Facebook? No, Instagram. So let's duplicate this and say post to IG. Copy the text, change the color there. Post to LinkedIn, change the color. And then we have post to X. Let's change the color as well. And now what I want to do is in my n8n, I'm going to create another workflow that what this will do is it will take the click of the button in Airtable and route that to the right place. So here, let's have a webhook. I think we can leave it as get. Let's copy the production URL. Let's turn this on and let's go to executions. So in Airtable, what I can do is just say, go here and then pass along the record ID. So here for record ID, I'm just going to say is equal to record ID. And what I also need to do is pass along whichever button we're pressing, right? So here I'm going to say and social channel is equal to X in this case. In the case of this, I'm going to paste the same thing, but just change this to LinkedIn. And same thing with this one, but just change this to IG. So now if I were to press this right here, I should get the record ID, which is ZA, and the fact that I pressed the IG button. So if I go here, go back to editor and say this is the post to social media network. Let's go to executions. We should have gotten that. We should have the ZA, great. And we have the social channel, which is IG, awesome. So now we copy this to editor. We can have a switch, which is based on the social channel. So if it's IG, we do one thing. If this is equal to another thing, it will do another thing. So here the options are, it could be equal to LinkedIn. So that and that. And the other thing will be is equal to X. So rename, paste, paste. So now I have the 3 outputs, which also means that technically speaking, I guess we can also do Airtable get a record here, because we can do this for pretty much, yeah, based on the record ID. Let's actually do that. So here in YouTube Social Media OS, let's connect to that Airtable, choose our list, and then we grab the record ID from the query right here. So in this case, we should get the information, and then we do the switch based on whatever channel we chose. We just need to change this so it's the webhook rather than the JSON now, since we added that new additional node. Let's update the mapping here, and now we should get the information and the fact it's IG. So here, now, we go to Blotato. What we will need to do is upload the media, and even thinking about this, you can also do Blotato upload the media as the first thing right here. I'll need to create a credential here. So Blotato, login. I'll just log in to Blotato. Awesome. I'm going to go to settings, API, and I'll just copy that API key. And if I go back to n8n, I can just paste in my API key there. Hit save, and that's connected. So now I can also upload media, which is the actual image. So in Airtable, under attachments, let's see what we have. We have the, I think it's the URL here. Let's see if I copy this. Yep, that's the image. So now this will upload to Blotato, unsupported. Why is that? Unsupported media format. Interesting. I mean, here we can also upload as binary. So potentially we could do that. So what we would need to do here, if Airtable and Blotato don't play nice, is do HTTP. We can download this from that right there. So we'll get the binary format of the image. And then we can upload that, I guess. Let's see. Unsupported media format. Maybe it's because it's WebP. It could be. Let's try with a JPEG. So let's take an image of the dog. Let's try this. Save. Let's put that in there. Let's go to Airtable and let's drag and drop our doggy right here. So capture, do that. Now we have our dog in JPEG format. So if I copy image address and go back to, where are we? To this. I'm going to duplicate this and just see if I can upload the JPEG URL. Yep, so that's fine. So the issue is, yeah, I guess the WebP and Blotato, which also means that here, when we generate the images and replicate, we just need to not generate in JPEG. So here we can just generate in JPG. I'm not sure if it's called JPEG or JPG. Let's see. So we go here, JPG. Yep, let's just change that. So it's not WebP, JPG. Okay. And when we edit the images, I'm not sure if, yeah, output format is JPG. So I think technically if we look in our table for the dog image, for example, which was an edit, we should be able to upload this to Blotato if my theory about WebP versus JPG is correct. So we just go here, copy image address, paste this in here. We shouldn't have an issue. Yeah, in fact, we don't. Awesome. So that's fine. So now we shouldn't have any issues with that. So this should be fine. And we won't even need this. So we can just do a direct upload with this to this right here. Attachment, URL, execute. Yeah, this is still, yeah, grabbing the, obviously because we're getting that right there. So let's just change this to a record ID, like the dog one here, which contains a JPEG. So here, let's change the record ID, hit save. And if we try running this again, yeah, it should now work. Awesome. So now what I need to do actually in Blotato is connect my accounts, which I don't think I have at all. So I need to go to Instagram, I need to go to LinkedIn, I need to go to Facebook. Yeah, this is logged in, this is logged in. Am I logged in here? I don't think so, because it's a different account. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can connect this. I'm good with this. LinkedIn is good. Facebook, I might need to, yeah, let's connect these three anyway. I will see. Log in with LinkedIn, sign in. Yeah, I have no clue what the password might be. Yeah, might need to do, let me change the password off screen. Okay, so I think that's connected. Great. Let's do Instagram. So that's also connected. And let's do, what was it? Facebook. Cool. Choose the pages you want Blotato to access. Up to current and future. Yep, that's cool. Save. Awesome. So now, if I go back to n8n and we do another Blotato node, we can, let's say in our case, we want to create a post. This is Instagram, so that's already selected here, which is fine. My Instagram account, great. Media URL will be the URL from Blotato. For the text, I'm going to say this is a sample post. So now if I run this again, we should get a post to go live on Blotato in a second. So here, if I refresh this, let's see. Let's see. Blotato, let's go to published. Okay, give it a second. And we're not getting any errors here. Post submission ID. All right, sweet. Just took a second there, which is fine. October 1, we can view this directly as well. This is a sample post, awesome. So I'll just delete this. And I can pretty much do the same thing right here with, right, I did this up. I can have a post for LinkedIn. So I can just choose LinkedIn. It should pull up my account, and then I would hit execute, and then I have the same thing. So this would be IG, this would be LinkedIn, and this would be X. So here, just connect that and then choose Twitter right here. From list, not Twitter, whatever else I connected. I don't know what it was. It was settings, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So that should be Facebook. Cool. I can choose my page right here. Kevin's page, Rook and Cause. Yep, awesome. I have no clue what those are, but yeah. So I can then choose those. So then if I press post to, it was X actually. Yeah, I just connected Facebook. So this in my case would be post to Facebook, right? So it would be FB, save, and then here it would be, instead of X, it would be FB, and then here it would be, yeah, Facebook. So this would be Facebook. Save, and that's pretty much it. So now I have an end-to-end system that allows me to go from Telegram to generate images, to edit images, to create social media posts, and then to go into Airtable, review them, and actually post them directly to socials using Blotato. Anyway, this was quite a long video. I hope this was useful and valuable for you. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments below. I plan to start creating a lot more videos on this channel, so let me know what things you want to see. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss future updates. And in the meantime, check out the links in the description for ways how I can help you in your business. I'll speak to you soon.